Let's bring in Newt Gingrich to discuss this and what else China is doing around the world. He's a Fox News contributor, former Speaker of the House, and author of Shakedown. So before I have to ask you what Peter said that they did, and we know they did, keep in mind, too, the Daily Mail reporting the European Union already caved to pressure from the Chinese government regarding their disinformation, promoting what they've done since they inflicted this virus on the world and making them skew their communications in a positive way. They also today warned Australia that if you continue to probe what happened with this Wuhan virus, there might be a boycott of Australian goods by Chinese consumers. And the Daily Mail says the Communist Party of China spokesperson, they said they sparked backlash. As he said, the president tweeted out, said that some people should be injected by disinfectant or at least gargle with it so they won't spread the virus. Lies and hatred when talking. So a Communist Party spokesperson taking action on us, the European Union, and Australia. What should we do about this?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to recognize, as the Hudson Institute's timeline makes very clear, this was caused by the Chinese dictatorship. They lied about it. The first case was in mid-November, and they were lying about it all the way through January. The University of Southampton suggested that 95% of the people who died would still be alive if the Chinese dictatorship had not lied to the world. And as you point out, and as Peter Navarro points out, they went around not just lying, but also took advantage of their advanced knowledge to try to corner the market on a variety of public health goods in a way which is totally despicable. So let's just start with, we are competing with a dictatorship which has no sense of honesty, which cannot be trusted, and which will use its muscle whenever it can. And we've got to design a strategy that recognizes these realities. One, we should make it possible for Americans to sue the Chinese dictatorship, just as we did, for example, after the Lockerbie bombing. We allowed Americans to sue, and they got, on average, $8 million per person, which probably in today's money would be about $11 million. So if every single person set the standard in the U.S. and then encourage the rest of the world, if people die, this is China's fault, they ought to sue the Chinese to get the money. Two, I think we should seriously consider basically putting all of the debt and all the Chinese assets in escrow so that they will pay these things. There's no reason for us to lie about who they are, and there's no reason for us to tolerate them running over the planet, killing several 100,000 people, causing tens of trillions of dollars of economic pain, and then getting away with it.
I think most people will agree with you. Read your op-ed, foxnews.com. The title is, "We Can Return to a Pre-Coronavirus Economy." How do we do that, Newt?
Well, I think the president's doing the right things. Put the governors in charge. Different governors will take different risks. I started by pointing out that on Friday, the Montana Zoo reopened in Billings, and Billings is a town of 109,000. And they have perfectly safe, very few cases in Montana, very different than the Central Park Zoo, which is in the middle of a city of 8.5 million. So we are a very complicated country. It's better not to compare us to Italy or France or Germany. Compare us to all of Europe, because we're bigger than all of Europe geographically. And that means some places will take risks, other places won't. We'll learn over the next 3 or 4 months how to do it right. But we have to also recognize that we not only have to defeat the virus this round, reopen the economy, we have to make the investments so we can crush the virus if it comes back in October, November, or December. We can't go through a second round of this kind of mitigation by destroying the economy. It's a very, very destructive way to respond to this kind of a challenge.
Yeah. Newt, the Congress has held a couple of sessions over the last week or so where members have been called into the chambers. I know the House, I think they did it alphabetically a couple of days ago just so that everybody could get on the record regarding the very latest stimulus. But Speaker Pelosi had this statement when she was talking on CNN. Listen to this, and then we're going to get your reaction.
The governors are impatient. I'm a big fan of Governor Cuomo, my own governor. Gavin Newsom has been so spectacular. My mayor, Mayor Breed, the state and local have done their jobs magnificently. They should be impatient. Their impatience will help us get an even bigger number. And that goes for Republican governors, too. Governor Hogan of Maryland has been spectacular in all of this. So it's many governors, many mayors, bipartisan, for us to get the largest amount.
Okay, so there she is talking about how it would be nice for governors and mayors to get a lot of money, because when you look at New York City and New York State, that has been the hardest hit spot.
Sure. Look, I mean, it's not a shock that a liberal Democrat wants the largest possible amount of money, particularly if they can just borrow it all and not have to worry about paying for it. So Nancy Pelosi is behaving like a good liberal Democrat. The question for the country is to draw the distinction between an amount of money that allows us to bridge the problem. And I do think with the dramatic decline in the economy, the dramatic decline in the tax revenue and the rise in various other costs, probably some kind of bridging amount makes sense. But I would be deeply opposed to a bailout. If you look, for example, at Illinois, which has the worst pension system in the country, grotesquely overcommitted, I don't think the rest of America should bail out the politicians in Illinois who've made a total mess of their state pension fund. So let's distinguish between a bailout and a bridging amount of money. And let's also say that states that are really out of line need to reorganize what they're doing, get their act together if the federal taxpayer is going to bail out, send them money. I don't think we should automatically assume business as usual. If they're showing up hat in hand and saying, give me the money, we had to say, fine, give us the reorganization so you're not going to get back in this shape again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Give us a line item on what you're going to use for the money. When it comes to fill in the blank on pensions, stand up and say not okay. Has nothing to do with this. Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich, thanks so much for the latest insight. Appreciate it.